All right, I have 3 comments to blog posts that auto post to Nextdoor. The 3 comments came on Nextdoor. So the first comment is William. Now he replied, I wrote about my reaction to Philip Johnson's glass house. It's a museum. In some ways it's a memorial to him, a very flattering memorial to him. And it's a house he built, which is architecturally historic and significant. There's also an architect, Mies van der Rohe, who is about 20 years Johnson Sr., and I wrote this post about my visit, and William replied, that's what I thought, Tom. So on some level, this historic moment in architecture was one that William seemed to understand. So next comment. Now, Elaine writes, it's impossible to understand your post. Now, what post attracted that comment, I don't know, but obviously it's not important because she didn't understand it. So I'm not going to review I'm not going to find the post. Then from Pat, I got Mr. Duty. First of all, credit to you for not changing your last name. Secondly, your post is incoherent, and I don't know what you're trying to say. So, first, Pat, on the credit to me for not changing it's a clever way of mocking my name. Oh, it sounds funny. This person probably pronounces Kamala. And my name sounds funny to Pat. I don't know if Pat is man or perhaps Pat is Patricia. But either way, Pat has a humorous reaction to my odd-sounding name. It's obviously not odd to me. It's been my name since birth, and the name of my parents and siblings and so on. But to Pat, it sounds funny and worth having a clever humor at my expense. Now, I trust Pat is an adult. I think there's rules. It's a very highly curated site Nextdoor, so there's rules about kids on the site, and I trust that they're enforced. So Pat is probably an adult. So the humor about my name and the odd-sounding name is surfaced very significantly when I switched schools in 7th grade. So in the U.S., that's you do 7 and 5, you get like 13. So this is pre-puberty, coming into puberty for the people who are a little more advanced sexual maturity. And so during that transitional time, my name I was a new kid at school because I switched schools into the 7th grade from a public to a Catholic school. And my name just became fodder for mockery. But largely I haven't had much of it at all until Pat. So Pat, I trust you're an adult. However, your humor at the expense of my funny-sounding name seems very puberty-age child. Now together, Pat and Eileen make the same, the comment is in the same genre. It says, I don't understand your post. Now, before I use this word, I'm going to deny that I'm using this word to describe them. Instead, I'm doing what I'm going to claim is forensics. I'm saying that people who make a comment like this, I'm going to put my creative thinking together to say, what is that person like? And the first word that comes to mind for me is arrogant. So, oh my God, Eileen or Pat might say, oh God, he called me arrogant. I absolutely deny it. Everything in our communication to this point is voice and recorded or text. And not only do I deny it in a way I can defend myself clearly. So again, all I'm trying to do is say, a person who makes that kind of post, who is that person? So first of all, that person is an American who speaks English. And when I say an American, probably multi-generation American uh, multi-generation, and that would be 2 or 3 generations, to the point that if they're non-English languages spoken by these people's ancestors, these people grew up without a foreign language spoken in their home. In addition to that, their life today, even though it's become very multicultural, the times that they're talking with a friend and their friend says, oh, excuse me, I got to take this phone call, and that friend speaks in a language other than English, for Pat and Eileen, those occasions are probably never. It's not like they don't hear foreign languages, and I can't call them foreign because I'm in a Spanish-speaking neighborhood, and English is in some ways the foreign language. But non-English languages, for Pat and Eileen, they probably never hear spoken by someone who they have what I'm going to call an intimate relationship. I do not mean sexual relationship, although it could include that. I'm just saying a friend who's truly a friend, not a client, not a stranger on the street, not a merchant at a store, but someone they know. Excuse me, I got to take this phone call, and suddenly they speak in Spanish or German or Italian. I would guess for Pat and Eileen, that never happens. And again, the people that would make a comment like Pat and Eileen have made here, I would imagine that I can't even say it, Oberfeld and Hodges, that's the Dobbs ruling no, Dobbs is a different one. Oberfeld versus Hodges is the one that legalize marriage equality. And I would have a feeling that a person who would leave this type of message would be one who would have a negative reaction to that decision. And then, of course, Dobbs, which reversed Roe, they would have a positive reaction to that decision. Again, I deny that this is what I'm saying about Pat and Eileen. All I have is a comment. That comment, in my opinion, traces to a person that would have a negative reaction to the gay marriage ruling and have a positive reaction to the reversal of Roe. I am guessing these people hear the mispronunciation of Kamala as Kamala. I am guessing that they hear Kamala, the incorrect pronunciation of the vice president and candidate for president, and they hear that at a higher frequency than they hear the correct pronunciation, which is Kamala. A person who would leave a message like this is probably supporting Trump. A person who would leave a message like this in my neighborhood, a predominantly blue neighborhood, will probably support Trump, vote for Trump, but yet kind of keep it quiet. Now, to continue, now I'm going to pick up the word arrogance. I will repeat multiple times. I am not claiming these people are arrogant. I'm not claiming this statement reeks of arrogance. I'm just saying, what is the person behind someone that takes the time to click comment and say, I don't understand this? What might that person be? And I'm not claiming that this is true for Pat or Eileen. However, I am claiming that, to me, arrogance could be behind a comment like this. In other words, this text that they said they don't understand did not begin, Dear Eileen, Dear Pat, in which case they would reply and say, I don't understand your message. Obviously, I'm writing it to them, and they don't understand it. Since my salutation included them, and I sent it to them, it is perfect, makes perfect sense for them to reply and say, I don't understand this. But the idea that they just find this random text on my, it's an auto post to Nextdoor from my blog, and say, I don't understand it, it was not my intention that they understand it in the first place. Now I'm going to refer to kind of give context to this. Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat is a YouTuber. He's made enough money just by YouTubing that he does it full time. And now he doesn't even seem to work that hard. and he's still supporting his family and living in New York City and getting sponsors and travel and a lot of the, things that influencers dream of having. So Casey, on one occasion, I watched one of his videos. It's sort of recent, and since his frequency is not that high recently, Casey recently did more than a year, every day uploaded to YouTube. A fully filmed, creative work, and that's how Casey became famous. And he started this like maybe 15 years ago, so like 2010 maybe. And he carried it for a year plus like another half year, I think. An incredible dedication and discipline to be able to do this, especially as a married man and a father of young children. So that's what made him famous, and he's continued to ride that wave. So recently he had a video. Recently he had a video that he discovered this fish pond in Brooklyn, and he decided to go there. And he makes this thing, this very creative thing, where he goes around his apartment and decides what vehicle he's going to go. He's not going to walk, he's not going to take the train. So he's got like a booster board, he's got an e-scooter, and he's got this thing that looks like a motorcycle, but there's no motor on it. It is very heavy, because a part of his drama is getting this thing in an elevator and out to the street, and he kind of very cleverly shows the difficulty in moving his equipment to the street. And then he rides this thing, and it makes the noise of an internal combustion engine. But by looking at it, it's not. So if a commenter would, someone new to Casey Neistat would stop right there, and if they had any idea that Casey Neistat is kind of a pro-green guy, and criticize him for riding an internal combustion vehicle, then Casey's fans, which are in masses, would react as I would. You're an idiot. You didn't even watch the rest of the video, because as soon as he gets off this bike, he admits that he added the sound effect after the fact, and it's actually an e-bike. I think the same potential is here with me. Now, I don't have the masses that Casey has, but I do have more readers than I ever imagined. And they have the possibility, these comments aren't on my blog, they're in Nextdoor, but if they were on my blog, and what I'm going to call many readers, they're many to me by Casey Neistat's standard, they're far less than what he has. But nonetheless, I have numerous readers who might look at it and say, Pat and Eileen, they don't get it? I don't either, but what's your point? Why are you commenting? And so again, they might think that Pat and Eileen, a person who would leave a comment like this, seems kind of arrogant. Like, Tom's not writing for your benefit, he's writing for his benefit. And I think that applies here. So Eileen and Pat, be absolutely clear, if you're still with me at the end of this message, I have not said any of these negative things about you. I'm just looking at these comments, which I've gotten repeatedly over the course of my blogging. And I am speculating as what the person would be like who is behind a comment like this. And so any of the negative reactions I've had, I'm not saying about Eileen, I'm not saying about Pat. I am saying that these characteristics that are largely negative would be put into a forensic profile if I were trying to solve this as if it were a crime.